Good about those. Thanks again for tuning into yet another video. Infamous coming at you live from the West Coast yet again, San Jose, California. So I just wanted to share my own 2 cents, my thoughts on the CVO Road Glide, or the CVOs, the new 2023 CVOs that we should be seeing pretty soon. And how does it stack up against, you know, your Road Glide ST, or maybe your standard, or maybe your special? Maybe you're thinking about, hey, maybe I could probably get my Road Glide up to that level of the CVO for about less. You know, there's a lot of things to consider. You have inverted forks, you have some rider assist, you have some performance benefits from the CVO, on all of that for only an extra $12,000 to $13,000, which isn't a lot. Once I start showing you guys, you know, the differences and what you get with the CVO. Now, keep in mind, of course, these are numbers without the dealer fees, without the surcharges, without the markups. Depending on where you live, these fees are going to vary. Just based off of the MSRP, ST, and the Road Glide CVO, I believe the CVO is a great deal. I know it's a $42,000 bike. It sounds outrageous. It does, you know. We've been seeing these prices keep on going up year after year. This last year was the significant increase that we've seen so far. The Street Bob used to be a $14,000 bike. Now, with the surcharge and the fees, MSRP, you know, no markups, we're looking at $18,000 plus for a Street Bob. Man, it's getting nuts. So let's just look at a few things, some of the stuff that I, of course, know, and just, you know, trying to figure this thing out. So maybe, like I said, maybe you're out there and you're wondering, hey, maybe I should probably consider trade it in, or maybe I could just buy the parts and make myself a Road Glide ST-ish, CVO-ish, whatever you want to call it. So, man, the performance, the packages, what Harley's offering, I really like what they did with the Road Glide CVO. Now, keep in mind, the fairing, the update is absolutely hideous. The shark nose fairing looks like a whale shark nose. It is not a good looking fairing, but man, everything else about this bike is absolutely gorgeous. You have a lot of little benefits that you don't have on the ST. So overall, this is a great looking bike. I really like it, and like I said, for $42,000, you probably can't see the number, but $42,300, only a difference of $12,000 from the ST. Man, for what you get, it really is you know, a great deal. So let's look at the ST. I really like this one. I prefer the fairing on this one over the CVO, but they're both good looking bikes. This has a 117, but then again, on the CVO, you have a brand new 121 VVT V-twin on this thing. So we'll see how this VVT turns out. Time will tell, of course. You know, we're gonna R&D these bikes for Harley, of course. The consumers, the first year buyers, are the ones that are gonna R&D this for Harley. So let's just, you know, compare these real quick. I have a comparison right here. So like I said, a difference of $12,000, $13,000, not including all the other fees and the surcharges. You know, both bikes are identical, same frame, except for, of course, you know, the suspension. I believe the suspension is slightly better on the CVO. So upright, both bikes, of course. You have the floorboards, comfortable riding bike. I've test ridden the ST, the specials, the CVOs for quite some time now. The 117s, I haven't test ridden a 121 as of yet. So saddlebags identical. I believe you might have a little bit more storage capacity in the ST because of the chopped rear section of the CVOs. You have this little guy right here, so you lose a little bit of storage. Not, you know, it's not that bad. Style wise, I really like the way this one looks. So, you know, fork mounted, of course, fork mounted fairing. Yeah, it's a Road Glide. You have the infotainment system of both, and then of course, where you start getting into some of the benefits, you have optional RDRS. This sort of stuff comes standard on the CVO, so you start to see where that, you know, where that money is, that extra $12,000. You start seeing it. Of course, you have a passenger seat. The ST does not have a passenger seat. The ST has a solo seat. The Special has the passenger seat, and of course you get the passenger foot pegs. On the Special, you don't get that with the ST. So getting back, and like I said, we start seeing some of the benefits, some of the differences. You get the riding modes. So let's go into, of course, the performance. You have a Milwaukee 117 on the ST, and then you have a Milwaukee on the Road Glide. But like I mentioned, it's a 121 VVT variable valve timing, which is something new that Harley's doing in 2023. We'll probably see this technology in the Softails and the other touring models 2024, 2025. We'll start seeing this sort of stuff head on down. So displacement, of course, 117, 121 on the CVO. And like I said, you start seeing some of the benefits. The performance, of course, you start seeing it right here. 127 foot-pounds of torque with the 117 and 140 foot-pounds of torque on the CVO. And they don't have the horsepower on the ST, but I'm guessing it's about probably 80 horsepower, maybe at the wheel. I'd say probably 80 horsepower. You guys can share your comments down below, share your thoughts on what you guys think. Harley does not post numbers on the 114 and the 117. They're embarrassed of the horsepower. That's why we only see the torque, but we look at the CVO, they're showing us how much horsepower it's got. It's got 115 horsepower on that 121 power plant. So that's already, a significant difference for something that's EPA friendly and California compliant. 115 horsepower with the CVO. It's pretty impressive considering what you have to spend to get your 114, 117, in those numbers or in that range. So let's keep on moving down. We have the infotainment system, which is another huge upgrade on the CVO. You get 12 inches of screen size on the CVO. You get a larger screen size. I don't know if that's something that you like. Some people like analog, analog gauges. You don't have that on the CVOs anymore. It's all on your TFT display. On the Street Glide, you still have, of course, analog gauges. So your speedo, your RPM, you can still look at that. You do have, like I said, you still have an infotainment system, but it's half the size of the CVO. So that's where we start seeing those $12,000. You also have 4 speakers on the CVO. You have saddlebag speakers. You don't have saddlebag speakers on the ST. You also have an improved speaker system, audio system, of course. And we also have, there's more benefits here, but I'm just trying to include, the main ones. And then, of course, we have all of the rider assists on the CVO. And some of these rider assists on the ST will cost you thousands of dollars. The RDRS, I don't know how much it costs now, but that used to be a $1,000 plus option. So I don't think they have a pricing, but if they had a pricing, maybe I'd be able to show you guys the difference. So you have ABS, you have cornering, you have traction control, RDRS, rider safety system, whatever they call it. And of course you have, tire pressure monitoring. You have a lot of little things here that's included with the CVO. And like I said, these are, some of these options on the ST will set you back thousands of dollars. So we already have a ton of goodies for an extra $12,000. Now, not to mention, of course, you also have the inverted forks on the CVO. You have inverted forks on the front, improved suspension, and you don't get that on the ST. These are just regular forks. So it's it's starting to add up here and there. And once you start considering how much is this going to cost you if you do want inverted forks, and how much is it going to cost you if you do want 120 horsepower, here are the numbers right here. So you can see this inverted end is going to cost you $6,720. This is, of course, way better than what Harley gives you. Give me a minute. Anyways, yes, this is by far a lot better than what Harley has to offer. You have a lot more settings, a lot more options, a lot more control over your front end. So this, $6,700, not including the labor, the install, you know, a lot of that fine tuning stuff. Of course, you're gonna have to, you know, move some stuff around, and I'm not even too sure if, you know, if the spacers are gonna be the same, if the calipers, you know, the discs, all this other stuff. I'm not too sure if it's all gonna, you know, transfer over, if it's gonna be a direct bolt on. But you can see, of course, you know, we have a lot of neat little settings. You know, rebound, of course, a lot of different settings. And this is by far, I'm pretty sure, far better. Like I said, far better than what the CVO is going to have. So you can see from these images, Rogue Glide ST. So yeah, it's a good looking front end. I've seen one of these on the Road King right here at Spirit Motorcycle. One of the technicians, I don't know if he's still working there, but one of the technicians had this set up on his Road King. So very impressive, $6,700. That already eats up half of our budget towards the, of course, getting your ST up to the level of a CVO. So let's go now. Let's look at, of course, the performance. Like I mentioned, none of this includes, you know, the labor cost. Maybe you're doing it yourself, or maybe you're taking it to a dealer, or you're taking it to somebody else. You still have to factor in, you know, that cost of getting the stuff installed. So we're looking at a stage 2. You could probably hit maybe 120 horsepower, 130 torque with the stage 2. The Milwaukee 8s have a lot of potential with just a stage 2. That's really all you need, you know, is a stage 2. You put a stage 2 on your Milwaukee 8 and it's going to handle like a beast. So this is $1,500. You don't need the plate kit or anything like that. The chest kit. You could probably save some money and just get the cam. Of course, depending on what you do and when the cam, this really depends. But you could just get the cam, save yourself a couple bucks, and do that. But overall, you know, we're talking about anywhere from $600 to, you know, $1,500 right here. And if you're looking at, and if you're wondering, hey, what are the numbers? This is somebody in the Facebook group. If you guys want to join the Facebook group and look at torque numbers, what cams are you getting, or performance numbers, dyno numbers, based off of cams. You know, a lot of the folks in the Facebook group share other numbers. So we're looking at a torque cam on this paper sheet. So this is, of course, a 50 state legal cam. And I'm pretty sure the tune is also 50 state legal because they're going with the Screaming Eagle torque cam. So we have 126 torque at 116 horsepower. So like I said, you know, it really depends on the cam and it really depends on the tune. So, you know, now we're talking about the tune, of course. You know, this is how much it's going to cost you. All right, $600 for the tuner, plus, of course, the install and maybe a couple of dyno runs. So typically, depending on where you're at, you're looking at $300 to maybe $500, $600. So that's already, you know, $1,200 right there on just the tune and the tuner. Like I said, it really depends on where you're at. Maybe you could probably get a good deal with one of your tuners where they include the tuning device and their time. So you could probably get it for, you know, $600, $700. So like I mentioned, we're looking at a lot of numbers here. Once you start adding all of these numbers, now we're, you know, way over the $10,000 mark. And like I said, it really depends on the labor as well. If you have the ability and the skill to do it yourself, then you're saving yourself a ton of money. But if you don't, then you're looking at, you know, somewhere around $15,000 for what you could get with the CVO Road Glide. Like I said, and you still have, you know, some other stuff that's not included in those, you know, $10,000, $7,000 for the inverted forks, $2,000 for the chest kit from SNS, maybe, you know, $1,000 for the tune. Plus, you still have to get, of course, your stage 1. You have to get your exhaust. You have to get an intake. That's probably about another $2,000. You see how the numbers start adding up. You know, I really believe the CVO is a pretty good price for Harley's, you know, prices for Harley, for the Harley price range, the Harley tax, whatever you want to call it. I really believe the CVO is a pretty good deal at $43,000. All right, with that being said, we're still, a little bit off because you still get riding modes on this bike, and you still get all the rider assists. You also get the larger display, the TFT display, and you get the better audio system, the saddlebags. I mean, if you were to add all of this stuff, you're going to be way over the $43,000 mark. So you could get your ST up to the level of the CVO. Now, you could, like I said, you could settle with your suspension. You don't have to do inverted forks. If you just cut out the front end, you could probably get to around this level of performance and maybe handling, depending on what you put in your front end. You could, like I said, it really depends. But if you want it absolutely, pound for pound to be exactly like the CVO, your best bet is just to trade in and get yourself a CVO. Like I said, there's still a lot of benefits, even for the $12,000, $13,000 difference. Man, I'm just gonna say it one more time: audio, suspension, TFT display, the performance, the 121, and then on top of that, I mean, all of this stuff that you see here, you get a stage 1 with their exhaust and their intake. All of this is included, and then the tune, the riding modes, the rider assists. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here that I believe is worth the extra $12,000, $13,000. But you guys can go ahead and share your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys think. Am I nuts to normalize a $50,000 bike? I know it's expensive, but so is everything else. Everything else right now, and the economy is completely out of reach for everybody. It's nuts. But this is overall a really decent deal. You also get improved cooling in this thing too as well. So these are just the little things that I'm mentioning that I'm not adding on to the ST. You get better cooling, better performance, better mileage because of the VVT. And like I said, even if you were to upgrade your CVO, if you were to put a stage 2 in this thing, what are the potential numbers that you could get out of this? Having the 121 and the VVT. I'm just saying the potential for this bike compared to the 117, it's going to be that much better, 20 to 30%. I believe 20% better than the 117. So once the aftermarket SNS starts getting their hands on these bikes, and they start offering, of course, a chest kit, and we start seeing all this other stuff coming out from the aftermarket, the tunes and all this other stuff, we might see stage 2 probably somewhere around 140 horsepower and maybe 150, 160 torque. It's going to be impressive. So I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys stay out there, stay safe. Don't believe everything you read. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.